What is up, Tangerinis? Thanks for clicking on this video. Today we're going to be talking about bizarre things in Mexico that somehow became commonplace to us or absolutely run-of-the-mill to where we hardly even think about it anymore, but they were very strange or unusual or shocking when we first came to Mexico.
Our goal is to see as much of the world as possible, starting with Mexico, so if you want to come along for the ride, click subscribe and...
Gong that bell! So you get notified when we post these videos. Now on to the video. So the first thing on our list of things that we found super bizarre when we came to Mexico are how heavily armed people can be for various situations. Jordan?
For example, you might be in a mall, and outside of a McAllister, there's a guy with a shotgun. A McAllister.
Well, and we've seen it too in front of people's homes. Like, we don't know this, maybe their offices or important people live there or something. But like, we're not talking about like handguns, you know, that the police might have in a holster, not a holster. Like an actual big, gigantic, scary looking gun.
But now that's pretty much normal to us.
And the way that most Mexicans see this is that they're there to protect you, so it's nothing to be scared of. It was pretty weird when we first came though. The next thing that was pretty strange, bizarre, and kind of sad when we came to Mexico was how many street dogs there are. And honestly, many of these might actually have homes because lots of Mexican families let them run around during the day and then they can come back in to eat whenever they want to. But it's still a thing where in the US we weren't really used to seeing that many dogs around. Plus, me personally, and I could be sheltered or something, but I was not used to seeing so many huevos on dogs. So just, it's all hanging out there and yeah.
The next thing is putting chili and lime on everything. On fruit. Fruit! Who puts it on fruit? But now we don't eat fruit without it. But that was our thoughts when we first came here.
So who puts chili and lime on fruit? Mexicans, because they're genius and it's delicious. However, do not, I repeat, do not put it on huevos estrellados.
What are those?
Over easy eggs. Or Mexicans will freak the hell out. Even though it's delicious too, okay?
We put tahini on our eggs in one video, which is just chili and lime. We got like 50 comments saying, "You heathen, who puts that on eggs?"
Never put it on huevos estrellados. Try it. Knock it before you try it. No, try it before you knock it.
Don't knock it before you try it.
Don't knock it.
Okay, moving on. Don't unsubscribe yet. We're not always this weird. Okay.
Yes, we are.
Usually.
The next thing on our list is not so much bizarre as it has been terrifying over time. And you may have heard this or experienced this before, but driving in Mexico is kind of crazy and lawless. It's taken a while for us to get used to because whether there are road rules or not, people don't really follow them. They generally don't use their blinker. I think after a while it's become sort of like an organized chaos that is pretty smooth. We've noticed less accidents throughout Mexico than we ever did in the US. One of the craziest things about this is, for instance, when you're on the highway, people do expect you to drive in the shoulder so that they can drive in the traffic lane to pass you.
And that's when they will use their turn signal, but it's not to turn. It's never to turn. It's to let you know that you can pass.
The other crazy part about this is that if the shoulder isn't wide enough for you to be completely over, they will drive between the two lanes of traffic into oncoming traffic, so you also have to be aware when you're going the opposite way. Even if someone's not passing you, they could be passing on the other side, and you better go into the shoulder or have a head-on collision.
So this next thing took us a long time to get used to, and that is tipping. In the US, we were used to tipping 20% because that's what's customary. We want to continue doing what's customary in whatever culture we're in, and here, almost every single Mexican tips 10% every time. We've had dinner or lunch with a lot of Mexicans out to eat, and every time it's 10%, sometimes less if we're just ordering drinks. To illustrate our next point, we are at one of our favorite restaurants in Ajijic right now. It's called Hacienda de Don Pedro.
What's next, Jordan?
The language. We obviously knew we would have to speak in another language here, and we were doing lessons before leaving, but really doing lessons can't prepare you for having an actual conversation
It
in
only
another
gets
language.
you so far.
Yeah, because you might know how to say a phrase, but saying it to an actual person is totally different. So that's something that was super bizarre to us at first. But now, today, earlier,
By some miracle.
we were at breakfast and there was a menu that was half in Spanish and half in English, and I was reading it and I didn't even realize when it switched languages, which is really cool.
When we first came here, there were so often times where someone would say a sentence and I would realize I had no idea what they just said and go into full-on panic mode. Every word that I knew in any language inside my head was completely gone. Now, at least in those circumstances, it's got to the point where instead of it being the most frightening experience ever, I can at least just smile and nod and hope the next sentence informs what the last sentence was, and usually that is the case. So that's nice that now it's not such a strange and weird thing to us. We can have these interactions without it being a total freak out moment.
If you want to learn Spanish like us, we absolutely love Rocket Languages. We're going to put a link to that in the description. And if you buy it through there, that really helps us showcase more of Mexico. Mientras nos trae la cuenta, por favor. You can say la cuenta, or meanwhile the check, mientras la cuenta, or, and that's also a sign, bring you the check.
But why do people need to know this?
Because you have to ask for the check. They won't just bring it out to you before you ask.
Which was pretty bizarre when we first got to Mexico, although this is something we had heard of before. In the US, it's not common to ask for it at all. Usually you're 3/4 of the way through the meal and they're already bringing it out to you.
But we've been in Mexico 8, maybe 9 months now, and if I went back to the US right now and someone brought out the check before I asked for it, I'd be like, what the hell, man?
I would think it was rude. I
Yeah.
like that you have to ask for it here so that you don't feel pressured to finish your meal.
Definitely prefer.
Gracias.
Do you want to go for a walk?
So the next thing that was pretty bizarre when we first came to Mexico and was kind of a little bit scary was how many military vehicles would be driving around. And these aren't just military vehicles, they're military vehicles with big guns on the back and people standing. They look pretty intimidating, and it's not a rare occurrence, it's pretty common to see them driving around.
And it's not just military, it's also like federal police and state police, that they have the big guns on their trucks and whatnot.
Yeah, so at first, whenever we would see these, we were like, oh my gosh, where are they going? What's happening? Is there an emergency? Do we need to worry about something? And now we're just like, okay, they just drive around all the time. It's not a huge deal.
Another thing is that a lot of the houses have big walls.
Really huge walls in front of the entire property. And at least what I'm used to is having big open front yards. You can see the front door. And granted, in the times where there are houses that don't have walls, often you'll see the door open and it's very like kind of welcoming essence to it. But
Yeah, more so Mexican neighborhoods.
But it's not uncommon to have these huge walls. Sometimes they have electric fences on them or barbed wire or something for protection. But that was a little bit interesting when we first got here. It's not something we're used to. So coming up is a perfect example of this next one.
Mexican noises. All the noises of Mexico. Regardless of where you're at, pretty much, there's going to be dogs barking, roosters crowing, vendors saying, refrigeradores, microondas.
Man, dogs barking like... For me, I'll be honest, I've gotten more tolerant of this, and it was very strange and weird at first that there were, like, anyone is allowed to make basically any noise that they want to. There's not really, to my knowledge, any laws against it. What I haven't gotten used to is construction on two sides of the house, waking us up at the hours of between 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. every single
rockets.
day. Rockets, yeah, I mean, so you've probably heard of the whole Mexican noises thing before. I find a lot of this kind of like a charming Mexico quality. It's so Mexico kind of thing. But there's some stuff that's a little bit hard to get used to.
I think we've both grown fond of vendors. Like, all of them have their unique call. 5 pesos los tamales!
Like, aguaciel! So another thing that it took me a while to get used to because I thought it was kind of terrible and kind of weird is that in most cities, at least to our knowledge of asking around and living in places, there isn't really much recycling, although there is for glass it seems like, and cans, but in general there's not like green bin, blue bin kind of thing where you can throw paper and bottles and things like that, so that was a little bit disappointing. Maybe it's something we don't yet know about, or some cities are stronger than others.
Is that a cow? Are you gonna have a cow?
Oh, look at the cow. Oscar, are you not afraid of him? So much bigger than you. Oh, she licked his nose. Oh, look at the baby cow. So I hope you don't mind the Mexican noises of the dogs behind us and the lawnmower over there. But the other thing that it took me at least a while to get used to, even though I'm pretty familiar with it because half my family is Mexican, is the concept of Mexican Standard Time. Not Mountain Standard Time, Mexican Standard Time. And that's where things get done ahorita o mañana, like right now or tomorrow, but really it's kind of...
Whenever I feel like it.
And I was trained growing up for my mom to be 15 minutes early no matter what, so that no matter anything that happened, you would be on time. It's taken me a little while to loosen up a little bit and be like, it's okay to get there on time.
Alaska.
Or a few minutes after the time because no one's gonna be showing up right at 6 o'clock or any other time.
If the party's at 8, people show up at 9.
The next one that was pretty bizarre and I had to get used to a little bit was the concept of street food. And since we are not fluent in Spanish yet, a lot of the time we would be going up to places nervously and eating whatever they gave us, not quite knowing what it was. And at least in Arizona, street food is not really a thing. There are cities and states within the US that it is more common for that, but in Mexico it is very common for someone to just open up their home, put out a picnic table, have some Tupperware containers out there, and serve you their family recipes. They're always pretty cheap and really delicious, but that did take us a while to get used to. We hope you guys learned some things or were at the very least entertained by our list of stuff that was bizarre to us when we first came to Mexico, but we got used to after a while. If you like this video, give it a pause up and subscribe to our channel to see more videos that we're putting on. And gog that bell so you get notified the next time we put out a new video.
And we'll see you there.